Hey, Jens, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
At least here.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be talking about our new baseplate system. But before we do, let's introduce Mandy, who's our Director of Sales and Marketing. How you doing, Mandy?
Hey.
Hey everybody. So yeah, today we're talking about our new Polaris baseplate system. We're currently running a sale on the Polaris for 20% off through the end of June, as well as our mirrorless cages. But today we have an extra perk for our live viewers. Use code LIVEPOLARIS and we'll give you a free Polaris mounting plate. I'll put those details in the chat and I'll be following along, so let us know what kind of questions you guys have.
Live Polaris. All right, that's cool.
I like it. Okay, so Mandy, a lot of people ask us questions all the time. They're like, why do you make this or why do you make that? And there's different reasons why we make stuff, but why did we make this?
Yeah, so I'm always talking to people in the community at trade shows and watching social media and taking polls. And when we released the VCT Pro, we had a lot of mirrorless and DSLR users asking for something a little smaller footprint that didn't necessarily have a shoulder pad built in. And so they wanted a dedicated base plate for that. So I told you guys to get on that.
It makes sense though, because those kind of cameras are often used handheld in front, like gorilla style, like we call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to have that larger VCT on there could probably, kind of get in the way a lot of times when you want to go into a tripod.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. And there's been many kind of plates like that on the market before, but we wanted to make a cohesive system. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I'm a VCT person from way back, and I like that because I have the option to put it on my shoulder or put it on a tripod. But I understand that some people don't want to do that. And you'll see when we get into this how it's really versatile. I kind of, we call it the Polaris System, which, Mandy, why do you call it Polaris?
She named it, right?
Yeah, you named it because you think it's a star. I think it's an intercontinental ballistic missile. But either way, it works. So
like we always say, the hardest thing in designing these things is naming them.
Oh my God, it is.
Anyway.
It's the worst. Okay, but I want to get back to a quick thing before we jump into this about what Mandy said, which is about how and why we design products. A lot of products that I should say most of the products we make are not necessarily something that you need, Does that make sense? That you need.
Yes, right.
Yeah, like we're working on some wacky couple things right now that you don't know you need it, but when you see it, you're going to need it. And it's
How could I have lived without it kind of thing.
yeah,
Hopefully.
I mean, because that's more fun for us. We still to this day really haven't made a matte box because we just don't have an idea that's much better or different than what exists out there. So why do it? That's just not in our culture.
Right.
All right, let's get into this Polaris thing. So let's toss the first picture up there and we're going to talk a little bit about what it is. Okay. So this here is the camera plate and the mounting plate, which I call the PQR, just because it's easier. But I think it stands for Polaris Mounting, Polaris QR, so PQR.
Quick release.
Quick
Right,
release,
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so why don't you show them how that works, Jens?
All right, if you guys can cut to my close-up. The big difference between this...
Go to Jens' close-up. There you go.
Yeah, the big difference between our plate and others, we haven't mentioned yet, this is Arca Swiss compatible. We call it Polaris Plate. These,
It's all of those, the Really Right Stuff, Arca Swiss, everybody who made one of these things years
Kessler,
ago.
all those.
Yeah.
But ours is different the way that it locks into place. As you can see, here's the button, and I'll show you in a minute, and the jaws that grab it. It's not a cam lock or like some of the others where you got to twist it a million times to lock it in. This is pretty quick. Here, I'll show it to you right now. Let me turn this around. So and I'm doing this on an angle. It's a little
Well, while you're
awkward.
doing that, I'm gonna say a couple things.
I'll drop it in.
That's it, and a little twist like that, and it's locked. Show them how you can obviously do balance with it.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
So you can.
While it's in the loose position but locked in place, you can find your balance.
Yeah, it's got a nice stiffness to it too, so it's not real saucy.
Right, and then it ejects afterward.
Right. Okay, so that's step one. People have been doing this for a while. What I like about what you did and the little bit of struggle here was having it all happen on the side. Some people are having it happen in the back or wherever, but you always have room on the side more than you do in the back because you got accessories and whatnot back there. So
Well, there could be rods sticking out the back. Cameras are usually a little longer, so it's a little harder to access in the back there.
Well, very few people use these with rods. Next picture, we're going to show you exactly how we do this now. Okay, so you can see the PQR on the bottom there. That's the two parts down there, which is your camera plate and your mounting plate. Then, if you look up top there, it says Polaris Baseplate. Now, you can buy the base plate as you see it right there. Or you can actually start with the PQR and you can use that. And then you can add this Polaris Rod Support that you see on the right. And then you can take that PQR and actually stick it in the Polaris Rod Support. Maybe we can show that if you cut the ends as wide.
Right.
Well, it's close, but wide.
So
full screen.
All right, so here is the rod support by itself that you can buy separately. If you already have one of these, you can literally slide it in, drop it in the top. It's got different positions for different camera types. With the red plate version here, you would screw it to the top position, and it should give you the correct rod height.
And we'll get into that whole rod height business in a second.
Yeah, this is how you add it to this.
Okay, let's go back to the image we were on. Okay, or this. So now here you can see you can buy it actually as a base plate, just like that. And you can see on the bottom there that it has a built-in Arca plate. We're going to say Arca compatible plate. We'll call it a Polaris plate from this point forward. Now, why is that a little longer like that, Jens?
It's a little longer on the bottom because when you do eventually go to a shoulder pad, an optional shoulder pad, you need that length in front so that the camera can be slid back to the balance point properly, and it gives you a little bit of leeway as to where to set your shoulder pad.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next image. Okay, so here's how the system works. So when you're not using a cage, so you screw the camera plate to your camera, you screw from your tripod plate to that mounting plate, and then you can drop. You see, it's like a three-stage rocket here. You just lock them all together. Let's go to the next image. Now here you can see once you attach the red plate to your camera, you can put it on that mounting plate that's on the tripod, or you could use any other Arca style plate that you may have. Next image. Okay, now here you can see how we've put the rods and then the camera on top, and now you have a nice small rod-based system for, oh, here's what I love though. Rods all the way through, man. That is my thing. That is the one thing I hate about VCT, is no rods all the way through.
The advantage being that it gives a place to mount batteries in the back that helps balance the system, especially when using an EVF or matte boxes or long lenses.
Yeah, the lens thing is what most people have an issue with.
Right.
When you're popping lenses out, you don't have to add rod extensions. You can just slide the rods back and forth.
People might be wondering why is it so tall on this rig here like this, but that's to get to the industry standard of 85 millimeters from the center of the lens to the center of the rods. That's an industry standard
for a matte box.
For matte boxes.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the problem. Look at that lens on these mirrorless cameras. It's like on the bottom of it's literally in some cases below the camera.
Depending on the lens, yeah.
Right. That's a problem because
so you got to hoist it all.
Any camera you see, that lens should look exactly that height to the rods. Now, when you go to a red camera, you have the opposite problem. The lenses are way too high, and you got to bring the rods up into the body of the camera.
And follow focuses is not really an issue because they're adjustable, so you could be at an off height and have them work.
Right, and or motors.
Right.
So really, if you're not using a matte box, the rod height issue, you don't have to have the camera at that so high, at that 85 millimeter height.
Right. And some matte boxes now are adjustable somewhat too. So
few.
Yeah, but you just got to be ready and understand that.
Yeah. Okay. Next image. Okay. So here you can see this is just kind of a combo image where you can see I can put my camera on my tripod. I can put my camera on the Polaris Baseplate, which is also on my tripod, or you can pop them off, interchange them either way you want. Let's go to the next image.
Yeah, this is the previous image showed the Blackmagic cage on there. This, I believe, is a GH5 cage, but all our cages now have that Polaris plate on the bottom.
Right.
So you don't need the red camera plate to be screwed on. You can go directly to your cage.
Right, which is nice now. You only really have, so here you can actually see it. So that is that Blackmagic cage on an Arca style plate. That's our mounting plate, the Polaris plate, but you can put it on any one.
Right.
What do we got next? Same thing, except now we've added the rod support in the middle. Next image. Okay, here you can see how it's the same image pretty much, but we're adding some accessories. You know, I think we have a side handle on it. We have a recorder, a monitor up top. Next. Okay, now we're going to talk about, as you can see there, you see the little button on that image. That is our Polaris system on our shoulder pad. This is our older shoulder pad that was really popular. People loved this thing, man. When this thing feels great.
From the QR system.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's a different locking system now. But go to the next image. And here you can see, like, if you want to build a shoulder rig, and I really like this. I mean, what's great here is, like, if you are working as an all-day shooter on your shoulder, this is kind of nice, man. That camera weighs nothing, man. You throw that on your shoulder, it's balanced.
It's not just that. It's a different aesthetic when it's on your shoulder. It's a different stability than when you're guerrilla styling it, you know, in front of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the guerrilla style is a look, you know. If I'm shooting a boxing scene, that's that look I want, you know, like this. If I'm doing, you know, E&G style documentary work, a reality show, I want that baby on my shoulder. That's the, you know, it's very comfortable. You can kind of rest and do different things with that.
Plus, with the follow focus on there, you know, it's particularly our Z drive. I mean, that's a nice rock solid platform that you can pull focus on without letting go.
Yeah, I think you have one here. Why don't you try putting it on your shoulder? We'll see how that feels.
Let's see, how does this look here? Is it sharp?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little awkward because your arms.
Yeah, I need to stay in this position for focus, but as you can see, we got the grips here. I have the EVF right here.
And that thing weighs like how much?
Yeah,
nothing.
It's light.
The
only thing that's not on here is the battery on the back, which would actually balance it perfectly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so non-issue with these cameras because they're weightless.
Right.
And we have a surprise product that we're working on that I'm not even going to talk about, but it's going to make this thing even better. Stand by. Okay, Mandy, what did we? That was a nice long speech, but I'm assuming we missed a few things. What did we miss?
Yeah, we have some questions. So could our cages snap into a Kessler quick release system?
Yep.
Awesome. And we have another question here from a viewer, Adrian. I'm trying to follow and get more explanation from him, but he says that I wish you made a Gorilla Plate that does this. I use all Gorilla mounting, so they mount to rods. It would be dope to have this system that mounts to all Gorilla places. Do you guys maybe know what he's referring to?
Well, I mean, is she referring to our former quick release style called the Gorilla Plate with that little rod sticking up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We have all that stuff.
Yeah, that's just a whole different system. So, I mean, the idea was that with this was to be compatible with a lot of gear that's out there, a lot of Arca Swiss and those other brands, and to be a little bit thinner and smaller. The Gorilla System's, I think, a little taller, a little bulkier. It's nice, though. It's quick release.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing, but what we're doing here, like you said, is we're trying to slimline it. It's lighter, and a lot of people do, you know, that was a lot of comments that we had from people. The exact opposite of what this person just said. They said they wanted an Arca version of our Gorilla Plate system, but if she's interested in Gorilla rods or shoulder pads or any of that, we still have that.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear, too, on the first question, that you could also use the base plate with the rods on a Kessler plate or an Arca plate or a Really Right Stuff plate and put our cage, or you could go use their plate and put it on top of our cage, or they could take their cage and stick the red plate on it.
Right. The main goal here being that you sort of convert your tripod, your sliders, all that to this system, whether it's somebody else's Arca Swiss style or ours, so that you can, you know, smoothly and quickly go from one to the other.
Well, I just want to make clear, I don't know if people understand, if you already have a cage, you don't have to change your cage. You just take the red plate that comes with the PQR and screw it right to your cage.
You mean a cage that's not ours?
Yeah, anyone's cage.
Right.
Or you can even buy the red plate separately. And just, actually, you don't even need to. You can use any plate you have. Screw that to the bottom of your camera. You could either use our mounting plate or one that you have. So the idea here is that it's completely interchangeable. Back to you, Mandy. What do you got?
Yeah, I think I have one last question. What is the weight limit for clamping on the Polaris system?
1,000 pounds.
No, I mean we've done some. I mean it has a stop in it so that even if it did slip, like if you're in my close up here, it'll stop at a certain point. So it's not going to fall off.
There's
if
a
you're
pin.
tilted down like this, you know that this is where the weight issue becomes, you know, an issue, is if you're kind of tilted way down. So there is a stop, physical stop, but we've tested this clamping it, and 50 pounds, even more than that, it clamps perfectly. So
I know you hate when I say this, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't put an FS7, a C300. No, Mandy hates it, not you. Sorry. But you can use any camera on this system.
yeah, I mean those larger cameras, this is getting dwarfed by them, but I mean you can.
But that thing is rock solid. Once you screw it into there, and especially in multiple places, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
yeah.
The point is though that it can hold quite a bit of weight. So 50 pounds is what we tested it up to.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, like a full-on airy rig doesn't even weigh 50 pounds.
Depending what you got on it.
Yeah, it's true. A full-on one does maybe weigh 40 or 50 pounds. Well, I don't know. That's pretty heavy, but okay. All right, Mandy. Anything else?
Yep, Victor actually chimed in at the last minute on something we didn't cover. He's asking if he has his old GH5 cage of ours, can it be changed to the Polaris system?
I'm going to let you answer that.
Well, I can also answer that, but you probably have an offer that you're going to get into. But I think he has a cage that, like our current GH5 cages, can do both. They can be switched. If he has an older one, it's not tapped. The holes aren't tapped for it. But we will exchange it for you. Why don't you get into that little option?
Yeah, we certainly can do trade-ins on any of our gear. If you guys are interested in trade-ins, you can always email sales@zacuto.com, and we'd be happy to look at what kind of gear you have and what you want to get into. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take anyone's gear. It doesn't matter. If you want to trade an EVF for a Chameleon or a Gradical, great. Tell us what EVF you have. If you want to trade in some 1950s monitor, I may be interested in that. I like a lot of antique equipment.
Send in your small rig and step it up.
Whatever you want, man. I mean, just email them. Say, this is what I have and this is what I want. I don't care who makes it.
That was
or
a
if it's
good one,
Zacuto
Victor.
gear.
I like that comment for the question from Victor. That's good.
Yeah, and where's Victor been? I'm a little upset with him.
Why, that he hasn't?
He hasn't been on a lot of the last few shows. I've noticed that. He used to chime in. So,
Yeah.
Victor,
Well,
I'm coming to IBC this year, man.
it's way past his bedtime.
Yeah, I'm coming to IBC. All right, Mandy. Why don't you wrap us out?
Yep, thank you for watching today. Remember, we are currently running a sale for 20% off all the Polaris and Mirrorless cages. And the extra perk for our live viewers, use the code LivePolaris. I'll put those details again in the chat. A big thank you to ICANN, who provided all the lighting, and to our sponsors Canon, Rode, and Kessler. We'll see you in 2 weeks.